Welcome to Fit Club Vegas, the ultimate fitness destination for visitors. Drop in for a day pass and experience our 10,000 square foot fitness playground. At Fit Club, you'll find state-of-the-art equipment and a sound system so good you'll pitch your headphones. Conveniently located 7 to 12 minutes from the Las Vegas Strip, Fit Club is a perfect spot for you to come get your pump while visiting Sin City. So come check us out at 4525 West Hacienda, Las Vegas, Nevada. Fit Club Vegas, more than a gym, it's a vibe.
Pacific West Injury Law. Injured? Call 602-HURT. Car accident? Call 602-HURT. Our firm is dedicated to you and your recovery.
Let's see how many people are going to notice the dog this time.
Let me ask you a question, though. You mentioned Manfred Hobel.
Yeah.
Who do you think had the biggest arms in bodybuilding?
I mean,
we know Hulk Hogan had 24-inch biceps.
That Manfred guy for sure, but as we all know, that was a Sinto, so you can't really count that.
Who do you think had on a tape measure? Because the guys have to be tall.
Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, true.
I thought Kovacs had 27s.
No.
I don't know if it's true.
He probably did because he was tall.
He was like 6'2", 6'3". He was huge.
I do remember spotting him on a incline barbell press at Columbus, Ohio, 5.5 plates. You know, imagine being just in a gym and then some lady goes, "Oh, can you spot my husband?"
That tricks you did, or
no? That was in Arnold Classic at Columbus, Ohio. And there was like so many people, and I was just there training, minding my own business. And his wife says, can you spot my husband? And, you know, you can't say no, even though I'm in the middle of a workout. And then I look, it's like 5.5 plates. You want to really spot somebody with 5.5 plates? Like, holy,
on an incline or?
On the incline, yeah. But he was a monster. So it's like, hey, man, you know, how many can you do? So, I can do 5 or 6. It's okay. Then I'll be here for an extra 1 or 2. And he did it.
Don't you remember back in the day they had that picture where it's taped and it showed it was 27?
Well, I know, but anyway.
Yeah, but you cut the first 2 inches and then, you know. Not that I never did this.
You had fake measurements? You were doing AI for AI.
A 16-inch Pythons. Don't question. Look at that.
How much, have you ever taped your arms at your prime?
Yeah, Vid Sintel 22.5.
Hey guys, Jay Cutler here. If you have not heard already, I launched my own TRT clinic. TRT Kingdom is now live. If you guys want to schedule your consultation, please click the link below and you'll get all the information you guys need for better health.
Wow.
You've seen that, I'm going to find that jacked, most muscular photo. You know, it's 22.5. You know what is for a guy that has 18 inch to go to 22?
I remember his arms were ridiculously swollen at one of the shows. The Night of Champions, what year were they?
Yeah, that was stupid.
Okay. He could barely do a front double because he was like this.
Yeah, I could. Hey, I couldn't do the ab shot. I couldn't do the ab shot because I couldn't bend my arm.
But you know what?
So much shit going on.
He has beat you.
Yeah, like endlessly.
So Priest had really good arms. I think Wheeler had some crazy arms, but they probably weren't crazy on a tape measure because his joints were so small.
Yeah. Lee Priest has some number that is hard to believe, 24 inches.
No, 21, I think his arms. 20,
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, but he was 5'2".
Rolly's got to be in there.
Yeah, Rolly had big arms, you're right. But
Rolly's yours.
22.5 because I measured him with Ronnie.
Please now. Do you have a measuring tape?
I think 6'17".
You know who else? What about Bertil Fox?
Ooh, yeah.
You know, I just saw something the other day with him, and he was like, I remember watching him do a side chest next to Lee Haney, and his arms looked dramatically bigger.
83. I mean, Jesus Christ. He competed with me, you know, back in the day. You know, so you have a feather of beating a Bertil Fox. Oh, yeah. You know?
But he was older by then.
Hey, nobody's perfect.
It's like you beating Eccles when he was 62.
I was beating Ronnie Coleman when he was drug-free. It's none of my problem. He didn't want to do nothing. You know,
who looked better at an elder age? Was it Robbie Robinson or Albert Beckles?
Ooh.
Isn't Beckles like 90
Yeah,
almost 100 years old
19. He's 1930. You know that whole story. When I saw his passport, and I was like, "Oh my God, you're older than my father," and he told me to shut up.
He was born in
European 1930.
Well, my dad was born in 29.
Mine is 1932, and he was 61 years old in '91 when he beat us at the Niagara Falls, and then we went to European tour, and he didn't do that well, but you could not see in his body, in his face, in his skin, nothing, you know. And by then he was actually he had like 89 shows, I think, professional shows that I didn't know because I was talking about how I have a record, 72 back in the time, but then when I checked his record, it was already like 89.
What about like Akeem and Crizzo and Nick Walker? Those guys all have ridiculous arms. Would they be up there as the top guys? With the top guys of all time?
It's hard. It's hard because I felt like they paid attention to like back then how big someone's arms were, where I don't think now they pay as much attention unless they're like top people.
Did you ever do the measurements back?
Only with Ronnie that one time that we did.
No, did you like calves and?
Oh no, because it's supposed to be balanced.
Yeah, I mean,
it's part of the symmetry.
Your calves 22?
No, my calves are 20, which is still a big calf.
A big calf. You know, so there's that controversy that Dennis started with Blessing claiming his waist is 28 inches. Right? He keep insisting. So 28 inches probably in a vacuum position, you know.
Maybe.
Yeah. But then when he breathes out, it's 38 easily. And that was actually...
Goes right to 38.
No, I'm serious. It's dramatic difference. So
Regan just measured his without the vacuum, 33 and a half. That's just like flex down, not a vacuum. I'm sure it's way smaller.
Yeah.
That's still small, though.
It is.
33 and a half? Yeah. For a guy that big.
Should we ask for yours?
Mine? Below my belly, it's probably small.
Yeah. Everything beyond your belly was small.
Exactly. I could lift it up.
But anyway, I mean, 36 jeans, so whatever that is, right?
It
goes with the waist.
I don't think that's an actual...
It isn't
no.
measured.
I have a 33. I have a 33.
36 jean, and my waist is definitely not 36 inches.
What is it?
40.
Okay. No, I have a 33.
Jay, on a past podcast, Jay said his waist is wider than his shoulders now. So he told Phil.
No, you tease yourself about it, but I mean, you had a wider waist, but you pull it off. You pull off the
wide shoulders. Now I got no shoulders.
God damn.
You know?
So how that happens? Really? I mean, okay.
No drugs, no food.
Okay, my question to you. You love to train. He loves to train, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean no food? You eat 6 meals a day.
No, I don't. No.
Yeah, come on.
But you know what? The meals are way smaller than they used to be too, though. Like
Yeah,
you'll eat like a prepared meal.
I see you train, and you still do the side delts and push overhead.
Not as much volume, though.
Yeah.
I had to do a lot less.
See, if I had the fake arms, you had the fake shoulders then.
Definitely. I mean, I shot him, you know, for sure. So I think when you talk about sight enhancement.
Yeah. When he would turn around like quarter turns, right? It's really like this width goes to, you can see it. You were wider than Ronnie by far. Yeah. Holy shit. Anyway, you mentioned Kai, so I'm going to say last night I've seen some pictures from 2007 New York where he shocked the world. So I posted on my Instagram and he responded. He was 15 in 2005, 14th, 2005 New York, and 2006 New York, and 14 in Colorado 2006, and didn't place in some other shows at all. And then he showed up 2007 New York. He got 6th, but he could have won that show. So I posted his whole posing routine on my Instagram. He was that good. And then he became King Kai right there. Don't you think that was one of the biggest transformations ever from 2006 to 2007 Kai?
I don't remember, but I don't know how you can say he got 6th, but he could have won.
Yeah,
it makes no sense to me.
I promise you. Because, he was placing nowhere. So, when you have a branch, Dennis Phelps, I tell you.
People get overlooked. It doesn't make sense, but I can understand it's happened.
Yeah, perfect example. There was Branch Warren, Dennis James plays second, Dennis Phelps plays third. There was Sylvia, there was Desmond Miller. There were guys that were expected to make that first call out in top 5, and so nobody counted on. Kai was placing nowhere. He was ripped to the bone, dry, fibers everywhere, and then he worked his way up to the 6th place. Backstage, I came to him, and in front of my guys, I said, like, you should have won the contest. Seriously. That's how good he is. So he goes to Keystone, place 3rd. That's Dennis Phelps won that show. I prepared him for that one. And then he went to Colorado. He won that show, and then he started being a Kai of what we know. He became a top contender from... Did you ever expect him to have that kind of career?
Yes.
When? From that show?
Well, I met him as a teenager, and he was a natural bodybuilder, and he was phenomenal. I remember Chris Aceto saying this guy's really good, but I mean, it comes down to sometimes it's just the right guidance. I mean, I can sit there and tell you, I'm going to name 2 athletes that you worked with that would have still been in the last place. Samson's one, number 2, Gustavo Bedell.
Yeah.
Those are, and Dennis Wolf. I'm going to say Dennis Wolf too, because you transformed all these guys because people just don't know, and it has nothing to do with like drugs. It has to do with how to train and how to eat, because I feel like everyone undereats.
I'm glad you mentioned it. It's the biggest transformations of the guys that, out of nothing, they became something. I think it's interesting. You said about Phil Heath. He's going to be Mr. Olympia when he was like looking like a basketball player, right? You sense it. So you said that you saw this in Kai right away? I mean, I didn't. I do remember the story. He goes to Colorado because there was a $10,000 for Best Poser Award. But guess what? Only top 15 posing. And he placed 14th. And then he won the award. The whole story, like he slept at the train station. He didn't have money and all that stuff. Like he loved hearing this kind of stuff. But I didn't see Kai coming at all. I saw him in those other shows. 2007, New York. Oh, my God. Fiber upon fiber upon fiber. And then he knows how to move. Okay, he does a little bit too much extravagant posing, maybe too much. But remember, that was a Predator team. Yeah, it was shocking. So please check my Instagram and give a thumbs up to Kai. That was one of the biggest transformations. I would say yours in 2001 is also... Okay, let's talk about this subject. Biggest transformation in bodybuilding. When somebody made a huge mark. 2001 Olympia.
Would you place in 2000?
8th,
but I think like Brandon Curry's a huge... I mean, to go from... He was like almost last at the Olympia to first, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he came a long way. Remember, he didn't have really good legs. Remember they called him the Prodigy in the BSN ads? And
2017, I think he was 8th also, right?
Samson's there too, though.
Samson for sure, of course.
I mean, people see 3 years ago, he got 3rd place at the Egypt Pro.
Yeah.
Beat him.
Yeah.
And then a year later, he wins the Arnold. Was it a year later? He wins the Arnold in the Arnold UK.
2023.
Yeah.
2022, he was making a mark. I do remember being on Fuad's podcast in 2022. He's asking, can Samson win the Olympia? Of course he can. Look at the structure. Look at the body. And he was ever expanding. And
I think Gustavo Bedell might be up there.
2004.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, he went from nothing to 3rd.
3rd, yeah.
Yeah.
That was that year they had that weird like challenge round, wasn't it? Year he got 3rd or no?
Yeah, in 2005 they had a...
I think Martin Fitzwater is a good example of moving up too.
But now that they talk Gustavo. I went to Puerto Rico to do the training camp and with Charles Pollock and strength coach.
And he came.
Yeah,
he was living there.
And then he came there to see it, and I offered him, I said, like, let me help you because you have that phenomenal physique. He didn't want me to have it because I was still competing, so he thought that I wouldn't tell him the truth, right? The second I retired, because he was at my shows, 2003, Hungary and National champions were officially retired, and he competed, placed nowhere. At that New Orleans Nationals, we had a seminar with Dexter Jackson and Sean and everybody. You remember that he showed
Miami.
up? Oh, Miami. Yeah, you're right. That's
Nationals.
Nationals when
2003.
Chris Dean won that time. Yeah, he showed up at my at their training camp, and he hired me
What
right
Sean
there.
Ray tell you?
Yeah,
What did he say?
because he had that little bag like this standing on his stomach. He's coming in right like the purse. What is called it? Satchel. Yeah. And
Everyone has them nowadays too.
So look at that stomach. What are you going to do with it? Really, that's exactly what he said. And that's November 2003, February 2004 Ironman. Already, he could have won that contest. There was Dexter Jackson, Lee Priest, 1 and 2.
Phil won.
No, not 2004.
Oh.
He did.
Who won it?
Dexter or Lee?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And Gustavo was third.
What about Gunter? That year?
Gunter 2000.
Was it 02?
Yeah.
He won the GNC, but what was he in 01? That I don't think that was putting on muscle. That was just a conditioning thing.
That's condition.
Chad Nichols.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Ronnie went from 9th to 1st.
97 to 98. Yeah. But
That's a big jump.
But listen, Ronnie, if you watch him, 95, he started taking drugs. 96, he was already, quite competitive. He didn't nail the conditioning, but when you look at the Miss Olympia, he placed top 6. And he was there hanging around next to Dorian. You could see that potential. 2006, Barcelona guest posing. I posted on my Instagram also. He looked like a freak. I remember Flex Wheeler was there with us, and I remember Flex Wheeler looking at him posing, and he probably thought, oh, what a mistake, telling him to do the drugs and hooking him up with Chad Nichols. Because 2007 already, he was a monster. By the end of tour, he beat Kevin. First show, 98, he placed second to Kevin in San Francisco, and after that, Canada, National champions, Olympia, he was winning every show. That was the last time Kevin beat him.
I thought of another one, and it was just like a big from amateur to pro was Art Atwood.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
He put like 35 pounds on. He won the Toronto show, and everyone thought he's going to come win the Olympia because he turned pro at like 228 to 230.
Yeah.
And then 8 months later, he was 270 on stage.
Yeah. Freaky. I remember that too.
But he wasn't obviously a contender for the Olympia at that.
No, he had
they talked about it.
Wider waist and structure, but he was a monster and he was ripped. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of other people we could.
He had a good back, actually.
Who else? Biggest transformation.
I can't think of anyone else that's like. I'm missing someone that's moved up.
I'm just thinking recent years.
Yeah. I don't think I answered actually the question. You said Albert Beckless, Robbie Robinson. Robbie Robinson is now jacked. He's like 78, 79 in incredible condition. But Albert was competing at the pro level on the stage, 61 years old, and beating all of us in Niagara. So I would say Albert still takes it.
All right, guys, the new flavor Buzzin' Orange is available now. You can grab this over at jcutler.com. Make sure you check it out. We're having a sale right now. Liquid L-carnitine, 3,000 milligrams. You guys want to get that crazy metabolism boost. Let's go.
As weird as this might sound, you could put Hottie in there. He went from a 212 guy. He was qualified for the 212, went into the Open and was top 5 in the Open.
No, he was third.
It was third his first year?
Right away, yeah.
Third. But you remember earlier that year, he won a 212 show.
And then he
qualified
won Vancouver
212
Open.
and Open in the same year. So that's a hell of a transformation in 1 year to do that.
He didn't, he was light heavyweight in Dubai when I watched him turn pro. And he played second to Raleigh Winkler. He could have beat him right there. And he didn't look like 198 light heavyweight. I'm serious. There's something about Hadi. He looks like so much bigger than he is.
Illusion.
I don't think he's like even 230 now on the stage. Do you think so?
I doubt it.
I doubt.
But it doesn't matter how big the person is next to him. They don't.
Holy hell. wide, striated.
I'll say this over and over again.
Yes.
If it were up to me, I think he'd have at least 3, if not 4 Olympias right now. But
Yeah.
I'm just one person's opinion.
Talking shit though.
Not really.
Yeah,
My opinion.
You seen Lee Haney's endorsement of Behrooz? He saw him in Rimini.
Oh.
Says
Oh,
he's
he did?
top
I didn't know
5.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought he was a top 5 guy just seeing him in Dubai.
Yeah, a
He's
top
legit.
5 can be first and second and third. I'm delighted that you got connected with the immigration. They're questioning about Behrooz. Thank you so much for doing it. So for people asking what's happening with Behrooz, immigration needed some additional information that was sent, and right now they need a couple of last things: contract from Olympia and IVB, and a list of shows he's going to enter in the United States. So this is fresh today, yesterday, Monday news. So hopefully he's going to get, by the time Dubai is over, he's probably going to get already visa.
What do you think of what the Lee Haney, everyone talking about him saying that bodybuilding's lost its way?
Okay, in which way? Okay.
I don't know. There was a post up where he said that.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know in which context. Dennis asked me today. Do you know what was the context?
I don't. I can only assume.
Yeah, I can only assume too. Listen, Lee is 1980s purist. He was classic physiques, aesthetic guys that became a monster.
But he still had his aesthetics when he was a monster.
So yeah, but you could consider him a monster, but he was aesthetic.
At his
monster.
time, for sure. He was the biggest guy there.
Okay, biggest guy. But we were keeping the lines. We were keeping the posing. We were keeping the health. He retired at the age of 31. Jesus Christ, with 8.
How much you think he was at his peak, size-wise?
I mean, 245 or 8 at 91 Olympia.
And how tall is he?
5'11".
5'11"?
Yeah.
Okay. But that was one of the bigger guys at that point.
Yeah, you see,
He's just looking at. Listen, we're wide open. The guys are too damn big.
And you said that when you were competing.
Yes. So he's just stating in a way that everyone took it as a sideways statement, meaning like he's discrediting today's lineup. But he's looking at Nick Walker winning, massive, size, overwhelming. He's looking at, listen, everyone can say, yeah, Samson's great, but listen, Derek is shorter and he's wide as hell. But in the end, we talked about Phil Heath putting on too much size. It eventually catches up to everyone with the size factor. You didn't run into this. I don't think Cormier, I don't think Sean ran into it. I don't think Lee Priest ran into it, but Wheeler ran into it. Nasser El-Sambadi ran into it. Ronnie Coleman ran into it. He's just stating the obvious and saying bodybuilding needs a reset, meaning they need to step back and look at how these shows are being judged and awarding bigger is better. Now, people can say, well, Derek won 2 years ago or Hardy won, but listen, man, there's a reason classic physique is so popular and is growing tremendously. And if you ask anyone that comes up to me at any expo and I say, what division are you going to do? 98% of the people tell me classic physique.
Yep.
And they don't, you respect people say, well, Jay Cutler's a bodybuilder. And I respect it. I could never have done classic because I did not have the structure for it. Did I have a decent structure when I was younger? A little better than what I had ended up like when I was chasing Coleman for size. But listen, I'll say it straight up, man. Everyone is bigger. You can start picking apart bikini. Are they getting too big?
Of course.
Is women's figure too big? Look at it with Nicole Wilkins versus, it's evolution, but is the evolution necessary?
Or is it positive?
That's what I mean. Is it necessary, positive? Is it necessary? I guess it is, because if you didn't progress, you wouldn't win because the bigger is better, right? If you were aesthetic enough. But the thing is, we can sit here, we're on this podcast and people talk about aesthetics with Nick Walker. And I say, well, don't get it twisted. He's not aesthetic, but man, he looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're skewed to say listen, he has a ton of muscle. He's shorter. I mean, at 5'8" or what is he? 5'7",
5'7", 5'8".
How big can you get?
5'5".
You know what I mean? That's what Lee is saying. It's definitely an abstract vision from what he was on stage with. Remember, he was competing against Gaspari, Labrada, Benfado. Like, it was classic bodybuilding. So he's going to have opinion, and I feel like people are coming on way too hard on him about it because he just said, and listen, he sat next to me in the front row last year at the Olympia. He obviously cheered Samson on.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, for me, he's a paragon. He's the best example of what bodybuilders should be in every shape or form. You know, Lee Haney, 8 times dominated. It was no question.
People were upset when I won the Olympia saying, he's not aesthetic. How many times before I won the Olympia did you hear the criticism? Jay doesn't have. I mean, Ronnie Coleman straight up said, Jay Cutler doesn't have the genetics to beat me.
Yeah,
that's from my competitor that I obviously respect a lot.
What did Sean Ray say? They called it?
No, he said I'd have to be reborn with genetics.
Yeah, to beat.
Yeah. So
Sean said they call him Chuck E. Cheese.
but did
called him the refrigerator?
Were people in there up in their panties in a bunch back then? No, it just rolled off. Everyone's so fucking sensitive today. Yeah. I don't get it.
You know what? Where I really noticed it is with Andrew Jacked. When you would hear so many people say he looks too small or he looks skinny. The guy's 285 to 300 pounds. Yeah. I get it, he's taller, but 3 inches taller should not. He's not skinny. Yeah, he's not. But
femur bone cannot be filled up the same way if you're 5'5" or 6 foot.
The fact that there's a guy his size that looks like that is unbelievable.
There's always going to be opinions.
Of course.
People are going to tear apart what I'm saying on here.
Of course.
Yeah.
But you know what? You have the freedom to say whatever you want.
Of course.
If you agree, disagree, it doesn't really matter. I'm still going to say I just think Lee, it rolled off the wrong way where he's looking. I don't think he's criticizing the bodies. I think he's criticizing the way they are judging it. That's what I think he's saying.
But okay, let's now touch the subject of judging. So Lee Haney dominated the 80s up until 1991, okay, with aesthetics and size. Here comes Dorian Yates. What did Dorian try to do to match the size of the biggest guy on stage, Lee Haney? And listen, which is puzzle to me. 2 days ago, I've seen the prejudging again. Lee Haney and Dorian Yates with Vince Taylor. There was a Musculati round. 91, Dorian Yates beat Lee Haney 7 to 8 points in the Musculati round, which is travesty for me. Now that I'm looking at it, front double biceps, Lee won all day long. Front lat spread, Lee won all day long. Side chest, Lee won all day long. Back poses, at that time, Dorian didn't have that back all day long. I mean, side chassis, maybe you could give it to a Dorian. Abs and thighs also, and there was no most muscular. I like to question Steve Weinberger because he's the best judge. How can anybody give Dorian Musculati round in 1991 Mr. Olympia? There was travesty. But anyway, so here comes Dorian. 92, he was still looking normal, right? There's a question if Kevin Lebroni could have beat him in Helsinki, right? And there was Sean and Lee Labrada, but they're just smaller people. Kevin was good enough possibly to challenge him. But then 93 version. I love Sean's physique. I love his flex physique. I'm a purist. I want aesthetics. Dorian won that show. That you can't compare it. When he was competing, okay, there's Kevin or Flex or Sean, Chris Cormier, they have a better physique than you. I would think more aesthetic for sure. But you beat them fair and square. There was not even a question. So I'm the first one to say it. When Dorian was dominating 1990s, there was maybe a couple of times, 94, 96, and then definitely 97 that he could have lose. 97 to the mass monster. By the way, we didn't mention biggest transformation, Nasser Al-Sambadi from 94 to 95. That was also my touch. You know, I mean, but that was a monster. But 94, 96, Sean Ray, smaller 200-pound guy, could beat Monster Dorian on aesthetics, on conditioning, and
So can Derek Lunsford beat everybody if he's
yes,
the right balance?
Okay, but listen,
So can Hadi Chupin with the right balance.
Does Derek has a crazy conditioning?
No, but
No. So
enough, I think.
I mean,
It's
but
enough, yeah.
you have
I mean, put Hadi in the equation. If Hadi at his best, Derek at his best, who wins?
you had it all day long.
I think Hadi at his best is the best bodybuilder in the world.
Yeah.
He has the least amount of flaws.
And hey, that's our opinion. What's Samson going to say about that?
Samson has the best structure. If he comes in anything close conditioning,
Then he
could
would
be
win.
high.
Yes.
Yeah, he will win. Yeah. And if Andrew comes with a little bit bigger legs and crazy conditioning, he can win. Okay. If Behrooz make it to the Olympia, you know, which I hope this is going to happen this year, he is way too dangerous. You saw him. You didn't see him even on the stage.
I saw him in person. Yeah.
And when you stand alone is the one thing, but you stand next to somebody
He's pretty
this
wide.
caliber.
He is. Yeah. He's. You know what it is? What I noticed from the pictures, his quads might look down, but in person, it's not as noticeable. Yeah. But he looks like a big.
Can Regan beat him?
If they're both 100%, I don't know. Because there's certain shots that Behrooz is going to beat Regan. There's certain shots.
It's hard for Regan to beat Behrooz right now, but it's not impossible. Yes. I'm going to say it's not impossible because they have a similar shape. And if you say that Behrooz legs still need to go up, so
they do. So do Regan's.
So the Regan's, yeah. The
but
super
Regan
small
from the
legs
back is very dangerous.
Yeah, Regan from the back is
He's
probably
the top 5 guys in the world. I
absolutely.
think.
But
Behrooz is good from the back, but he doesn't have the hamstrings that Regan has.
Yeah,
but from the back, Behrooz is.
Does anyone have the hamstring Regan has with the cords? With the cords,
no.
I'd say Nick is the closest.
Yeah, Nick did look
but Nick's legs, Nick from the back is
not
crazy.
Pretty, and not those elongated.
Yeah.
I
think a Regan and Behrooz battle would be very.
It would be super interesting.
Yes,
that would be like, oh my god.
I would say that.
I know, bro, but we're sitting here talking about Behrooz being a top 5 guy, and we're trying to put Regan into the top 6 in our conversations outside this podcast. Yeah. Like he literally this year, because you got a couple of missing factors in there. Mm-hmm. You got Labrada, he's out. Nathan, who
he's had visa issues,
and we don't assume he's going to come. Mm-hmm. Who else is not going to do the show?
I mean, Nathan is doing Dubai, right?
I think Crizzo said he shut it down for the year.
Yep.
Why? Okay, this is.
I think from the injury, or I don't know.
But Behrooz is a question mark, right? We hope he's a question
mark. We hope. I hope all these guys come.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things where his structure may overpower like a Bonnick and.
Well, didn't Bonnick do? He did Dubai last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
And Behrooz won.
Very close. I mean,
yes. What did Bonnick get?
Second.
Oh, okay.
Second. Yeah. Of course, I was concerned because Bonnick is Bonnick. Bonnick is rock hard, dance, goddamn thick.
If Bonnick gets better, that he may have the most unbelievable year of anyone. I mean, we talked about Derek and this triple thing, but if Bonnick's done every show pretty much.
Yeah. Except California and Reno. He did all the other ones, though.
Is he doing the Dubai? I don't know who's on the list.
Well, it hasn't came out yet.
Yeah, Martin is for sure doing it because the guest posing he did, whatever he did this weekend, did you see? He looks very, very good.
Yeah.
So he needs redemption. He needs to prove himself. But he's coming into Behrooz territory, so he's going to be great.
Like I said, I might go just to go.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a fan. He wants to go watch the show.
Yeah. I might go because there's other stuff I'm working on over there that it gives a reason, and I don't know if Regan will do it or not. He's up in the air. We'll see. He's got Toronto this weekend, so that's just let's get through Toronto first.
So you saw Regan
in person.
Yes. 2 days ago, and you said that's by far the best, hardest.
You know what I've noticed is Regan has always gotten better as he's progressed, and when he came out in New York, initially, that looked ridiculous. That was a first call-out guy in any show. Obviously, he faded. Fast forward to California. The changes were made to where he didn't fade. His tan still needs to get better, but he can even get a little bit tighter, but he can get harder. When I saw him yesterday, or the day before yesterday when he posed, he had that hardness that he hasn't had. So now he had it in his chest, he had it in his shoulders, he had it in his lats, where normally he doesn't look like that, but I'd never seen that in him in person.
Don't get Milos so excited.
No, because he was telling me this yesterday.
Yeah, he had it. So now, but you have that now, but now you have to bring that to the stage. So if he brings it to the stage, now you can be competitive with anybody, but it's got to stick.
I think he's super motivated now.
Yes.
He should be, man.
Yes.
I mean, again, somebody was arguing with us on the comments below. Like, oh, we say he's the most aesthetic guy. He is the most aesthetic guy. Yeah. Yes. The aesthetics is off the chart. There's a couple of guys that come close.
A motivated Regan where he's seeing the progress. Time will tell what will happen.
Yeah.
But I expect him to...
I mean, it's only 8 guys in the show this weekend.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm assuming him and Sass will be the last. Look, I'm never going to disrespect anybody.
Else.
I can't stand that when you see people, especially people in our industry that have been around long enough to like, there's no competition. There's no way they can be. Listen, anyone that's on that stage, give them the respect, because anything can happen the day of the show or the night before the show. You can assume on paper these are the people that should, but you never know what's going to happen, and you never know who can
Patrick Moore placed 10th at California. He plays second at Reno.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is what a big jump.
We need to start doing that more. When people get into the shows, just respect the fact that everybody's up there. Anything can happen. Sure, certain people are favored to win, but you're not guaranteed anything until it's over.
Patrick just moved by 5 people that beat him.
Exactly.
You know.
And now what? So let's say
Moved
Patrick
to Florida now.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Let's say Patrick comes in the next show and he's even better.
Yeah.
Okay. So people they didn't bring his name up one bit of his chance of winning a show, and now he just gets second to a guy. Tonio's been top 10 at the Olympia.
Okay, so none of top 5 from Reno are going to Toronto. Mind-boggling. Like, you guys have better things to do on Saturday? I'm serious. Contest ready. Show is over there, and you're passing because...
I'm surprised even Antonio wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Just saying, hey, man, him and Regan Regan's beat him more than he's beat Regan, but they've been, the last time they're at Olympia, they were neck and neck.
Yeah, neck to neck.
I'm surprised. I mean, but...
It doesn't make sense to me. Even though you told me your theory last night, you said it costs too much money.
It does. This is what he was asking me last night. Like,
what costs?
He was saying, why is there so little... Why is there so few people competing in a lot of these shows?
No one makes any money.
It's not even just the prize money. It costs so much, just life in general. And then if you have a family and you go to the show, and the cost of the food and the gear and travel and hotel and this, you could spend $15,000. Yeah, you get 3 or 4 of your friends and family going. That's another $300-$400. Some people just can't afford it, and most bodybuilders, let's just be blunt, they're broke.
Why don't you go to every UFC fight?
I do, pretty much.
No, why don't you go to all of them?
Because there's sometimes Barcelona, by the way, the best team in the world. Barcelona is playing.
No. Why wouldn't you go?
I did, sir, I think I did more UFCs than Dana White last year. Can you believe that?
Well, most are.
I think.
Okay, no. Fast forward. Okay, let me ask you. Why don't you travel to every show that you have someone competing in?
Of course, money issues.
It's expensive. Yeah.
But listen, I was broke as can be. My pro debut was San Jose because I lived in San Diego, so I could afford that one. But as soon as they got to $3,000 for 3rd place, I invested that money to go to New York.
I know, bro, but money went a longer way back then.
It went way longer back then, too.
Now,
way longer.
Yeah, but...
I understand, some people can do that. But if you have a family and stuff, you can't. If you're a guy who's got a wife and a kid and stuff, you have to... But remember, back then, you weren't paying $500 for car insurance. You weren't paying $1,000 for health insurance. You weren't paying $100, $200 for a cell phone and $150 for what? Like,
how many years does it take for somebody to take pro? About
3 to 5, I'd say.
Oh, 3 is
for good.
For if you want to have a great career, you should turn pro pretty quick.
You can do it in 3 years.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hold on a second.
From the time you started competing.
Early 20s.
They're not competing when you start training.
Early 20s. Oh, okay. But if
Of course.
from the
They
time
start training.
you should be
Oh,
pro
I
by
thought you meant from the time you first competed.
if you start at
Right.
18, you should be pro by 23, 24.
Okay, so minimum 5 to 7 years. Okay.
From
okay.
the time you train, yeah.
So 5 or 7 years of busting your balls, eating correctly, creating physique, and then you finally win the pro card. It's not easy to get the pro card, as you know. Some people spend 10 years on it. So you finally now
Get it.
Yeah. So finally now you get the pro card and you have a possibility to compete with the best in the world, stand next to, Jay and Ronnie and anybody else. And then, $500, $1,000 or whatever. So I'm going to spend it somewhere else.
But it's not
That's your
500.
priority. That's investment in your career,
Not
right?
500 or 1,000 anymore. It's 3 to 5,000.
Many times, if it's a local show, there are.
Oh, if it's
okay.
local, yeah.
If you live in California, you live East Coast, there's Chicago, Tampa, Texas, God knows. In Europe.
You didn't wear a red hat today.
Just grab this hat.
Yeah.
No, it's and we when we talked last night, we went over it. Like when we flew to New York to do the show, coach tickets were $900.
Yeah.
$900.
What show?
For New York Pro, $900.
Let me.
Well, paid that.
No, it's just when Regan and I went, our tickets were $900 each.
How much is a bus or a train?
You're going to take a bus from Las
That's
Vegas
what-
to New York.
That's what Ronnie Coleman used to do. When we were flying in Europe, he would take
Well, it's
a
different.
train.
Europe, not
No,
across the
but
country.
that's commitment.
But
And
they
he was
have
playing-
trains. They don't
he was
have
playing-
trains here like that.
He was placing nowhere.
Take a Greyhound bus. It's just going to take you a month to get there.
Hey,
Take you a week.
hey,
Like, what are you doing on this?
Let's drive the goddamn
pull the
car.
bus over. I got to take a shit.
what is East Coast, West Coast? 3 days?
About 3. Yeah.
Yeah, shit. Stop in Texas, train, with Ronnie, continue somewhere in the middle. It's possible. It's doable.
Anything's possible, but it's very expensive. That's why I'm assuming a lot of guys are not competing as much as they used to.
It's
It's
no way.
very expensive.
34 guys competing, 97 Toronto. I told Chris Cormier today. 34. There were guys that didn't make a top 20.
How many shows did they have back then per year? 10?
Half as much.
That's probably another reason why guys would say, I'm going to do this show and this show, but I'm not going to do these other ones. And they strategically play shows that makes, well, you should do it if it makes sense.
I don't even know
Listen,
now.
the cost of competing is a hell of a lot of money. So if people want to try to figure out why people aren't signing up, people aren't competing, it's expensive on the amateur side and expensive on the pro side. It's nothing. I know we talk, but listen, this was our passion. It's a lot of people. It's just a hobby, bro. People aren't aiming to be pro bodybuilding fitness people. They want to be. Everyone wants to be a social media
fitness
star.
You went to Europe a couple of times. You went to goddamn India. You went all over the place. Even after you won an Olympia title, Shit.
Yeah,
I
but
was paid,
he was
yeah.
making a lot of money doing it, though.
I also
lot.
had big checks coming in, guarantee me, so I had to perform.
Okay. On
If
the
you had
camera,
his checks, you would
you
have won
You
too.
get the guarantee check before he steps on the stage.
He might have.
Guaranteed
check,
not
guaranteed
not
tickets.
guarantee the prize money, but a little incentive to get.
Yeah.
Listen, Kerry Kayes paid for me and Chris Aceto to go on the tour in 2000. He paid our airline tickets and hotels.
Yeah, that's
he wanted
okay.
me on the tour, and
I talk about this today.
And
Promoters should pay, for flight and hotel.
but they paid, and that's the reason I went on that tour. And I got second. I qualified for the Olympia early, and I qualified anyway with top 10 placing, the 8th place. But that really gave me the eyes and the vision of the Jay Ronnie battle.
Yeah, which was unthinkable to me. He placed 8 at Olympia. Didn't look anything like he can stand next to Ronnie.
Should we go over some of these shows?
Yeah, let's go. So first, Regan wins California.
I'm gonna do the I'm gonna do just the top 2 on this show.
Okay. So we saw Regan last time at this office. He posed right here. Looked tremendous. We saw him
before
outside.
this.
Yeah, that was Thursday, right? Looking crazy. You point out to him that he needs to solve the tanning issue, and unfortunately it was not solved.
It was better, but it was still. It's not where it needs
We
to
were
be.
both like, oh, gee.
Right.
Look how much whiter he is.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave it right here because as soon as I push this, they go out of the pose.
So there were arguments that say, okay, maybe Sasan could have won. I don't think. And this is going to be battle in 2 days from now or 3. Superior structure of Regan is visible from the moon, right? X-frame, V-tape, smaller waist, better arms. I mean, yeah. Conditioning very comparable.
Yeah, so at the show, Sass was a little bit tighter from certain angles, and a little bit, but it wasn't enough to make you go, it's going to leapfrog the guy next to you. It was if they were equal across the board, then yes.
Okay, so that's a perfect example. No, even I want Jay's opinion. You see, when somebody's conditioning is light years ahead, or when it's just like a spit in the ocean better. This was crazy conditioning on Sasan, but great conditioning on Regan.
Yes.
Okay.
It was very, neither one of them was out of shape. Sasan was just in a tiny bit better shape.
Yeah. So now this is what I noticed, and when I told Dennis James, he disagreed with me. Legs, Sasan has superior, but when he doesn't flex them like this perfect picture right here, okay, he did like maybe 70%. So you could see lower separation, but it doesn't go all the way to the hip, okay, which he does when he does the ab shot, the most muscular shot, the legs look freaky. And in direct battle, when you have something that you can overcome on the other guy, you should emphasize this to the judges, right? So I don't think that the legs here are way superior on Sasan that you can say, like, oh, here is what he does.
Regan's leg's actually really good here, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
We kind of been criticizing his frontal thighs, but it seems like when he's in really good shape.
It's aesthetic.
And then I'll get into the next pose.
It's vacuum with abs.
Okay, come over here.
This lights out, right? This is Regan's pose. He is so good in the front. Lat spread. Okay, so now do another second. Let Sasan squeeze the abs.
I don't know if he does.
Yeah, he does. Right here. Okay.
Nope.
Okay. So here's the question, right? It's a lat spread pose. You're supposed to spread the lats and show the width of your lats, right? Mm-hmm. But then I'm the guy that says always, if you can, bring 6 little muscles of the abs into the pose, it looks great. Why not? Mm-hmm. So when I look at Sasan, he looks phenomenal in this pose. But if you compare him in a lat spread, he loses to Regan. Not optically, like, okay, what looks better? In a pose, a lat spread pose, Regan is way superior because he's so much wider, so much more V-taper. But Sasan, I love this look. I love abs brought in, but you don't have that
so
crazy.
I'm ask a random question. If Regan would do this pose like Sass and like Nick does, where he'd crunch down on the abs, would that be a pro or a negative?
He kind of should do both. I think the width is what separates him here. And he probably, if he did it, he might lose his legs. The only thing that I can say, and I have a little behind the scenes info with this, Regan did not eat enough. Is this the finals or the prejudge?
This is, I believe, prejudge.
He should have had more food in him.
Yes.
He looked better in the second round.
He looked
right?
better, yeah, yes.
Because I still think, like, I'm looking at this Regan, and I know it, like, when someone's here and he's hydrated, like, to me, he looked better when we looked at him on Thursday.
Yeah.
Right?
A couple of meals and more water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's popping, yeah.
3 meals in and more hydrated. Now, that sometimes, always say, why'd you change anything? Because, you get to a stage and you look flatter or whatever else. And I remember talking to you, and I was asking you straight up.
He didn't.
Does he look better? And you're like, what did he look like compared to Thursday? You said he's definitely tighter, but
it wasn't pushing.
Yes, it wasn't pushing as hard.
He needed more food.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then, it comes conditioning. If I eat, am I gonna spill over? You know, that's always that question mark. Yeah, but I mean, I love Sasan in this pose by all means. But you see, as a lat spread pose, he would probably lose because of superior width. Side chest, okay. Now, this argument, who wins this pose? Sasan looks good, thick, condition, everything, yeah.
Better color.
Yeah. So, would you judge the color too? If somebody is darker, you're going to give him a point for it?
Yeah, because I think it shows more definition, you know?
Yeah, you could. You could make that argument.
I mean, cut off the upper body, look at the legs from the side. Who's tighter from the legs?
Yeah.
Sasan, right?
Yeah, but a touch. It's not like,
I understand.
holy hell. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If somebody said Sass wins this pose, I wouldn't argue it.
It's very possible.
But Regan's improved this a lot for sure.
Yeah.
Regan's improved a lot in his chest and his arms.
He still needs a fuller chest.
Yes.
And
So one
chest
thing that he's
full-
done, if you look at his right pec there, he did a bunch of like stretching and scraping, and now it's hanging out more in the last. I don't know if it's just too tight or what, but we'll see this this Sunday in Toronto.
And this is going to be a rematch right now. That's going to be super interesting. Okay, here it is. Look at the ropes. Boom. Incredible. So Sasan by himself looks great, okay? But in comparison, you could see there's a little bit drier hamstring, a little bit drier glutes. Leaner, I would say they're about the same. Maybe just touch of dryness on Sasan. But in every other aspect, Regan won this shot. Great calves. Look at now, he's squeezing the calves finally. Yeah.
Because you told him, you think? Or?
I mean, but he just didn't pay attention. If you have a calves, when you squeeze the calves, it's that good feeling, right? Yeah. Hamstring glutes. I still think that he should play with the glutes more. When he was moving the glutes here, you could see the fibers all over the place. And I think he could open up the lats more.
He could, yeah. And tip the biceps back. Let me open this.
Mm-hmm.
Will you open that for J-Mac, please?
Okay. What is he, 6'6"? Holy shit.
He's 6'8".
6'8"?
Yeah.
What's
up, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he could tip the biceps back more. Is he opening up the full way now?
I've seen it wider, I swear to God.
Yeah.
Because there are those moments, it's just like a jumbo jet all the way out. Yeah. But Regan wins this shot, clearly. Looks super aesthetic. This is hashtag.
When you look at this picture, it doesn't look like Regan's glutes are in, but when he flexes them, they're shredded.
Yeah.
Just.
Actually, side triceps, Regan did better than ever.
Yeah. He's getting better and better, especially when he pulls it right there.
Okay.
Now, do you think he should turn his left a little more? Or is that fine?
Mm-hmm. So lower body goes this way, but upper body twists. And then you turn, left shoulder into it, and then left shoulder would squeeze your pec, and you would have striations.
To see how it sasses.
Keep the lower body and turn upper a little.
Yeah, and then Sasan's abs are just stupid here. Like, oh my God, that's great. Yeah. So Sasan wins this shot, but Regan is very competitive. Now look at the legs of Sasan. Look at this leg now, okay? When it goes all the way to the hip, and most muscular, same thing. Sasan won that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even with the statics of Regan. And most muscular, Regan looks good. Aesthetic monster, but I would still give this to Sasan.
Okay.
It's muscular.
So
it's probably 5-3.
We'll do this, and then I also pulled up Reno. And we can
hold on. We didn't talk about other guys. So the two Brazilian guys and French guy, right? Leonardo, as you said, tremendous physique.
Yes. Yeah.
huge future, everything.
If he is lights out
Nailed.
conditioning,
Yeah.
he is going to be a big problem.
Yeah, he needed to get a
You
little
can
bit
see
better.
it. You can just see it all there.
And Bruno Santos, phenomenal. He plays fourth.
Yeah, he got fourth.
It was a few points between them. And French guy plays fifth, right? Florian.
Yes. So then I just did the top two because that was the story. This obviously
And
just happened.
Patrick Tour.
Patrick
Moore. Hey, Patrick. Yeah, you know Patrick Tour was competing as a pro. So Patrick, listen to the story. He lost 15 pounds. He did the Jay Cutler thing 2-3 times a day, cardio, 2 workout sessions. You heard the whole story, right? 32 sessions in like 6 days, and lost 15 pounds. Looked bigger, more refined, drier. Everything.
Why though? Like, did he just miscalculate California?
Yeah, he said he was told by the judges is way too heavy and he need to get conditioned. So this is, how far do you go? 5 workout sessions a day, 3 cardios and 2 weight trainings.
Hey, listen, I saw what happened with Regan from the Olympia to Reno. That was 2 weeks, and he looked like a different person.
We did it.
And if you would have, same thing, like look at if Regan would have done, because I know Dennis James asked that, if he would have done Pittsburgh, it would have been a bad showing from that. Extra 7 days made a difference. But look at what Patrick, he went from 10th
to second.
To not a super competitive to, I mean, he's beating, 1, 2, he beat 2 guys that were, in the Olympia recently.
Yeah.
And Patrick, he's taking a little time off, hasn't he?
He did sometime. He had some injury, but
let's talk about Blessing, though, guys. Let's talk about Blessing.
Okay.
What's going on with Blessing?
Okay, wait, don't change the thing. And Blessing, I hope he knows. You know that I love you, but I'm here not to be a cheerleader, but telling the truth. You cannot have this waist on the stage in a lineup like right now. Like, you cannot allow that to happen.
Yes.
There's no relaxing and then dropping the bomb. Okay? He has 28-inch waist when he vacuums it. And he needed to have this the moment he stepped on the stage. It would be a different story completely.
I want to say this just since you're on that topic. I've noticed that now when the guys compete, they don't seem to hold it in their transitions, a lot of them, but especially when they're standing off to the side. There's, when you guys would compete, you would always stand with your arms and you would keep your waist in. Guys now will just let it out and their stomach will be out. But you have to remember, if you're on the stage, people are looking at you and judges are judging you. Even if you're not in the call out, they're still paying attention to how you conduct yourself.
1,000,000%. Okay, and here's just to point out, and I don't want to be a dick.
Yeah.
What is Blessing looking at the floor, for ants or something? Like, look at everybody's looking down.
Looking down to
I
look
think
at
they're
his
all
legs.
looking.
Why are you doing this?
Do the quad stomp.
No, but you don't do that. You make eye contact. You're constantly present. You are angled perfectly. Stance, stability, abs in, shoulders wide. There's so much work for all of them. Look at now here. Yeah.
Tonio's shoulders are crazy.
Yes. I was just going to say that.
Tonio is also 212, right? So I don't know how much he weighs, but
so was there an argument that this kid on the end is really good?
Florian?
Left. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. With a bigger back, he would be super competitive. He's in good condition, nice shape, everything. Yeah.
But Patrick did look impressive here.
Yeah. No, Patrick looked great.
Yeah, going from 10 to second. And he says 15 pounds. He was, I forgot now what he said. Perfect pose for Tonio. This is a good pose for Blessing also because he has that crazy V taper, but legs are still a little bit shallow.
Tonio just reminds me of Dexter.
Yeah, he's got the same kind of.
Yeah, bursting
Muscle
full.
bellies, the
bursting
yes.
full, round. Yeah. Everybody looks good in side chest. Okay.
Patrick looks really good.
Mm-hmm. So I'm surprised Patrick maybe didn't go up to Toronto.
Yeah. Shocking.
After Toronto,
I asked him
Spain,
today why.
After Toronto, Spain, and then the week after is Dubai and China in the same day.
Same day. I think I'm going to have one guy from Iraq go to... he asked me, I was like, listen, in China you have a chance to win, in Dubai you don't. Blessing backdoor biceps is beautiful. Upper body. Tonio, dance complete.
So is Blessing just too heavy?
Yeah, he probably, yeah. You see the stomach is not controlled even from this angle.
Yeah, you can.
And judges, especially in Reno, I do remember saying they're looking for a stomach for a transition between poses. Look at the Blessing's back. Super wide, super V-tapered. If he's in condition, he needs to just get in condition and control the abs.
To me, this was definitely a clear victory for Tonio.
Yeah, I think for the first time,
Yes.
judges didn't even call first and second. They called second and third for comparison because he was
It was a clear
like Dorian that 1 year. I don't know when they didn't call him for a
Phil Heath.
comparison.
Really? Phil Heath in 13.
Okay, I was in States at the time.
Yeah, they one call, they put him back. Never again.
Ooh.
They didn't. None of them hit it at the same time.
Yeah. Patrick looks very good in this one.
Yeah, man. I actually, I think a lot of people probably wrote Patrick off. I remember he had Achilles rupture.
I don't know what his injury, but
It was a couple of years ago. He ruptured his. I think he ruptured his Achilles tendon, and people kind of wrote him off. But and after this California show, people probably said whatever. But now look at him.
so
He could definitely win a show this year.
Who ruptured Achilles?
I think Patrick did like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm pretty sure.
so when you look at from right to left, okay, my view, Blessing just need to get in condition, not to try to be too full. I think that's what he was trying to do, and then blow up his stomach. He needs a little bit more legs, but control of the midsection, everything else is there. Bruno Santos, yeah, in very good condition. I think his legs are a little bit down to my liking. I think that he had a little bit thicker legs, but conditioning was very good. Tonio is a dynamite. I mean, he is super competitive.
Yes.
He's definitely a top 10 Olympia anytime.
Yes.
And he can move up. Last time he moved to the 8. And God knows, he's bigger now. Nothing missing. I think he's posing considerably better, abs and legs. He's posing better than before. Patrick, he made a huge impact. They were writing him off. It was like even a question, should he just hang it up? Because placing 10th in a California show, he used to be top 10 at Olympia, right? I'm glad that he's revamped. He wants to do Tampa, Texas, qualify for Olympia.
It's good.
And French guy, Florian, I forget the last name, but very impressive.
Didn't Florian do FIBO also?
No.
Oh, this is
I've seen him. I know he's done a couple other shows. I've seen him.
He did Cal.
Cal? Okay.
Yeah, he placed 5th, right?
I think.
Yeah. It just back was not thick and conditioned.
Yeah, it looks like his back is his spot that he needs to work on. But from the front and the sides, he's
just goes to show because Matt watched California and he probably only paid attention to Regan and Sauce,
I mean, obviously, when you have two guys that are battling, you pay attention to the two main guys. Like this show here, obviously, Tonio just walked away with it.
Yeah.
So you're going to spend more time looking at the guys around him saying, okay, he's winning this. Can these guys, who's going to play second, and can they catapult that second place to a top 10 guy? Can they catapult that to getting a qualification at another show? So I'm out
This
of
is
it.
interesting for me. Like, why is everybody looking down?
They might have been looking for the line. I don't know if the judge is saying get behind the line, or I'm assuming, because they wouldn't all be looking down.
No, but stage presence is being a present at all times. You know, you have to
How much was
legs
the money at the
separated.
show?
No, what I mean is if they were all doing most muscular, you know, the head judge could have said, hey, guys, get behind the line. They might have all looked down and moved
Try
back.
to find a picture of Jay on the stage, relaxed.
Let me ask you this.
See, look, real quick.
Yeah, they're moving back.
That's what it was.
Let
He
me
just
ask
said
you
move back
this,
behind the line, so they're looking behind.
Let me ask you, how much was the prize money at this show?
I'm assuming it was 20, because if I remember right, isn't it supposed to be 10,000, and then the sponsor of the division throws a certain amount more? I thought they were all 20 now, but I could be wrong.
So 10, 4, 3, 2, 1.
No, meaning
first
before
place?
it used to be 10,000 first, but now there's a sponsor for the division, and they kick that money towards the athletes. So I think each show gets another 10. So I thought it was supposed to be 20 for first, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. What was California?
15. That was 15. I don't know if FIBO was high. New York, Steve always, you know, he was always paid a little bit more. Was it 30? 30 in a ring, 35 in a ring.
Yep.
And then the next show, I'm assuming we'll find out at Toronto.
Yeah, it's funny. Dubai is 140,000, right? So you're entering the show for 10,000, and you're not going to enter for 140.
You know, look, I would assume a lot of guys won. That's a very far trip. But besides that, a lot of guys probably get intimidated when they see a Martin's doing it and a Williams doing it and a
Behrooz.
Is
you
Martin
know,
doing
Behrooz is doing it.
I'm
I think
pretty
he
much
said-
sure, yeah.
And a Nathan Diash is doing it. So a lot of these guys might go, if I can't beat Tonio, I can't beat these guys. So
Nathan is super dangerous.
Who's the
Nathan
top three
is-
prediction for Dubai?
I mean, Rubial is competing as well,
Rubial's
right?
doing it again, yeah.
So
last year
I think it's going to be Behrooz, Martin,
in Bonnick.
uh,
Of who's
Boniek
you know,
and Nathan, and probably Rubial. I mean, the way Rubial looked the last year,
You think
if
he's
he would be
looking better this
conditioned,
year?
he has to be.
yes, he's so big.
But let me tell you, he is such a monster. It's like,
You know what it was? It was the first time I've ever been to a pro show where, you know how like when you'd have a pro guest posing and then the amateurs are out there and you're like, that's the pro. He was that big. He looked like a pro next to just physical size. You were like, dude, who is this?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he looked double the size of everybody.
you see him in person?
Yeah, but I saw him when he wasn't in shape.
Wasn't.
Yeah,
I mean, he just looks like he's got like something like some sort of oversized muscle. It wasn't any
Disorder.
cuts or anything.
yeah, no, we saw him in Germany.
Yeah.
Remember when he trained and you guys did the quad stomp? I think his calves are as big as Jay's legs.
Yeah. Holy hell.
But
Yeah.
we'll see. We got Toronto this weekend. I'm flying out. Regan's already there. I'm flying out Thursday.
You're going to UFC. Matt's going to.
Yeah, I'm going to UFC, of
Which
course.
fight? Where at?
New Jersey, Mirab and Sean, and then Juliana
my money
Pena.
on.
Mirab.
Milos, I think we should go to Dubai.
I would love to. Probably, I have to. You know, I'm going to talk to Behrooz. You're talking about it. There's still a possibility. Yeah, I want to go. Of course.
You know, maybe Bader will bring you out. I don't know. Ask him.
You know, Bader never brought me to Kuwait. I'm probably one of the only coaches.
He never brought Jay to Kuwait either.
No.
We went on our own.
We went on our own. We went and saw the military. You know, so
What do you mean you went to on your own? Like why?
no, we
We were
paid for
there
our
in
flights.
appearance. Yeah, we were there.
We were there in
Popped over
Dubai
just to see
and,
the gym.
And
Just to see a gym?
for those
See
people
it,
that
yeah.
don't know, whenever we go overseas into one of these countries, Jay always makes sure that we take time to go spend time with troops. So when we were in Dubai, we went and saw the troops in Abu Dhabi. We went and saw them in Dubai, and we got on a plane. We flew to Kuwait, and we went and saw Camp Afrijan. That was, I think, my third time there. Camp Afrijan, which is the base that people go to right before they fly into a war zone. So the morale isn't always the best there. So we spent a whole day with the troops there in Kuwait.
There's a new oxygen gym in Dubai.
Yes.
It's
in the north side of
ridiculous,
the city, yeah.
right?
I haven't seen it yet.
The biggest.
Hunter says it's great, right?
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet. It was kind of done when we were there last. We were there last July, but it wasn't like open yet. And I didn't want to just go see it, but while they were still building on it. But I know it's open, and I'm sure we'll make a point
I
to
do want to
check
say, yesterday I went to check a new tech gym. 30,000 square feet in Henderson is going to be a
Monster.
It's going to be Disneyland for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When's it going to open?
July, August.
July, August. Yeah.
I think soft opening is going to be, end of June, maybe. So for us to train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting the equipment
every piece of new tech is going to be here.
and all the new stuff that no one else has that we got to see in Korea.
Yep.
You'll like it. They got some pieces there. You know what the craziest thing is, and I told Mr. Bien this, some of the pieces that he has, I don't understand why people haven't done it years ago. Some of it's just the smallest thing. Like, you know how when you would get on like an incline bench backwards and do bicep curls, and you're leaning this way or that way, you can't grab the bar. They just put 2 little hooks there. So you can just set the weight down, walk around and just do it yourself and then put it back. Like the smallest little things make your life a lot easier.
Yeah.
But
he thinks with every possible filter.
yeah. Oh. And he's the other one too. When he puts you on a new piece of equipment, right away, he doesn't want you to tell him how good it is. Say, what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
How can I make this better? And if you say, you should do this or this,
He tells you,
yeah.
do like 2-3 reps, and then he's looking at your limbs and
seeing if the movement's correct.
Joints, yeah. Hunter is so much taller, and Korean company is not really, made for tall people. So he's adjusting everything for Hunter.
So shout out to Mr. Bien and New Tech.
Yep.
And Chen.
Shen.
And the whole crew.
And the VP, it's Evan.
Okay.
Yeah, I call him Evan.
Cool.
All right, so we'll wrap it up. Tell us your comments, guys, what your opinions are. We covered a couple topics here, but we look forward to seeing what Toronto brings this weekend. And then what's next after Toronto?
It's Spain.
Dubai. Oh, no, Spain's the weekend
Spain.
after, and then Dubai and China.
You see, that's what I'm thinking. There's going to be a lot of European guys at Spain, and then they're going to probably be ready for Dubai. And Europe is not far from UAE, so many guys from Spanish show are going to go to Dubai. I expect to be 20-something guys at Dubai show. Packed. So? Yeah. And then don't forget, there's a lot of Middle Eastern bodybuilders that just look freaky that we don't even know about it. I'm
pulling up the list, pulling up the schedule. Because if I remember right, there's a bunch of shows in a row. Okay, so China and Dubai are the same day. Then the next weekend is Italy, the flex weekend.
Portugal.
And the weekend after that is Portugal. And then there's a bye week. And the week after that is Chicago. Then there's a bye week. And the week after that is...
No, open in Chicago.
Oh, that's right. No, yeah, it just says Masters only. And then Tampa Pro is the last weekend in July, beginning of August. And then the next weekend is Texas. And then...
Japan, Masters, Olympia, right?
Masters Olympia is the same weekend. It looks like Sunday, Sunday, Monday. And then the Pro Italy is the first week of September. And then Europa Championships, September 14th. And then Tsunami, which is in France, September 7th. And I'm assuming that's then the Olympia is 2 weeks after that. So there's still a good amount of shows for guys to qualify. There's a lot overseas. Mm-hmm. There's only, 2 more shows in the United States? Just Tampa and Texas. That's it. So some of these guys that haven't qualified, if they're going to want to qualify, you have to take a trip over the pond.
You going somewhere this weekend?
Yeah. Protein House, Sacramento. Just a day trip. I got to take care of the monster.
I was going to say.
Everyone said, so everyone welcome Nick. She's driving me nuts. We are doing painting at our house today, so I apologize. She's getting fidgety. But I have her, and Angie has Capone at Lake Las Vegas, so I'm babysitting. I went home yesterday because I was here with both dogs at the office, and I'm so thankful we don't have kids because I don't know if I could take 2 kids for the whole day.
Was it the birthday of your father-in-law yesterday?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
74.
74.
Yeah, so he's here celebrating in Vegas, so we're entertaining. But big shout out to you guys. Thank you so much. We are out for another episode. Tell us what your comments are, and we'll see you at the next one.